The Zelda team has been known to improve their games from what fans did not like. What people did not like about Breath of the Wild is, you guessed it, dungeons. Or should I say, divine beasts. Because of this, Tears of the Kingdoms will probably have dungeons. My guess on how many is 7. Because there are 7 tiers, as shown in the trailers, Link will have to go to dungeons to upgrade his broken Master Sword, like in Skyward Sword. I truly believe that dungeons will look much more like games like Skyward Sword, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess. One thing that all of these games have in common is getting a tool halfway through the dungeon. I think that Link will get a tool during dungeons, but I think it might be an upgrade to his arm that has been infused with Zonai technology, or something like a whip to reach new surfaces like in Skyward Sword, or a hookshot like in pretty much every Zelda game. One other theory is that instead of his arm turning into a tool like a hookshot, he unlocks new Sheikah Slate abilities. This is plausible because Link's green arm might act like a Sheikah Slate. If you do not believe me, look at this. In this 3-second window, we learn that Link's green arm is his right arm. Look at what arm he is using to reverse time. You might say, he always uses his right arm. But look, Link does not appear to be holding a Sheikah Slate. I think that they could implement this in the game by either during dungeons you get a new Sheikah Slate ability, or Link will get all of his Sheikah Slate abilities at the beginning of the game in Tears of the Kingdoms. On to what dungeons could look like. There are many different places. Let's talk about some options that would be a good idea. Each dungeon usually has a theme, like water, fire, wind, earth, and more. For a water dungeon, I think that it should be placed in either Zora's Domain or Link Hylia. Both of these places have already been dungeons in Zelda games, and they were pretty good dungeons. I think that it is more likely to have a Lake Hylia dungeon, because there was a Zora's Domain dungeon already in Breath of the Wild. For an Earth dungeon, I would bet on Arbiter's Grounds, because in Breath of the Wild we saw the ruins of Arbiter's Grounds. Also, Hyrule Castle rose up into the sky, so Arbiter's Grounds could have risen up into the sky. For a fire dungeon, I would have to think that the only place it could be is with the Gorons or a sky island that is fire. For an ice dungeon, I think that they would put it in either the Hebra Mountains, because it's a very unexplored part of the Breath of the Wild, and people would have to explore more of the Hebra Mountains, and it would be a good idea for Tears of the Kingdom. The other option is to have a dungeon in the Gerudo Highlands, because it is very cold and snowy, or Mount Lanayru, because the Spring of Wisdom is located there. For a grass dungeon, I think it should be located somewhere in the Faron region, because it is by far the most jungle-like place in Hyrule. This region would also be a good idea, because it is where the Zonai live, and so it would be good, because we get to learn more about the Zonai. There are so many things that could happen with dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom, and nobody will know for sure until May 12th.